Welcome to the Muse. Let's talk about the fear of rejection. I want you to take this message in and I really want you to personalize it, make it your own. Think about how fear of rejection has impacted you in your life. When I was in college, I remember my dad was interested in who eventually became his third wife. And he was telling me she was going to ask her, he was going to ask her out, and he really, really liked her. And I said, well, aren't you afraid? Like, how can you ask all these women out? Like, he said, what would I be afraid of? I said, well, what if they say no? He said, what do I care? My dad's favorite saying was F them. So much so that my sister wrote that on a pillow that she had made out of one of his shirts for me after he died. F them. Who cares? What do I have to lose? I never forgot that because to me, I had everything to lose. I spent my life afraid of rejection, and I could not begin to recount the amount of things that I have missed out on as a result in my life. I say that in quotes because I do really believe that everything happens for a reason, and each one of us, our souls, come to where we need to come to in the perfect time. But truly, truly, so much could have been accomplished if I had not let fear of rejection get in my way. And when I think about it now, what was the fear of rejection really about? Fear of looking stupid, fear that people would think I was a fool, fear that I thought I was a fool, fear of not being enough. Who knows? The feeling inside me, though, that time when I would think about doing something that I wanted to do was just sheer terror, right? And it just goes back so long to whether it was like being in middle school and walking up to the table of the quote cool girls, or, whether it was following through on, trying to get a certain job or whatever it was. And the very interesting thing has happened for me in not that long amount of time. Uh, Even just as this podcast relates, that fear of rejection has really dissipated, or at least it's not around right now. And I have asked just about anybody that I feel like to come on my podcast without any thought of who they are or if I should or what they'll say. The majority of people say yes. Some people say, well, how many downloads do you have? How many, whatever? I only had so much time and we only, whatever, whatever. Some people don't get back to me, right? I emailed Del Bigtree, right? I emailed, people that have huge, huge followings. I don't even know if my email's ever seen. But the act of doing something and knowing that it may or may not work out, and maybe even knowing that the likelihood is low, right? And not personalizing that. The action of taking that action releases energy in your field and begins to create this habit of you being a different person. We tend to personalize when people say no, right? We make it about, well, I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't this, or I didn't do a good enough job, or whatever. Rarely is that the case. People can say no for all kinds of reasons. And sometimes when you look back, you might be like, thank God that guy didn't like me because he turned out to be an alcoholic and that marriage is a shit show, right? Who knows what it is? But the more that you personalize why someone says no, or you make the no to have some meaning about who you are or what you're about or your worthiness, that is when we get into a really big problem because it keeps us, what I like to say, it's like walking in cement. You cannot move. And what I would like for you to do as you think about how fear of rejection may have kept you still or is keeping you still right now is, we get one life. And it's a very short period of time that we get on this earth. Very short. Our soul gets to keep come back over and over again. But this life is very short. And how much of that time do you want to take up with a bunch of ideas in your head that your mind is afraid of how you're going to look, what you're going to think, what it means about you, all of this subjective experience that your mind deems to be true? How much time would you like to stay stuck in cement? And what is there really to lose? When I look back on all of the things that I didn't do or I didn't try, there was literally nothing to lose. Literally nothing, except for my mind told me, oh my God, you're going to be such a loser if that doesn't work out, right? The freedom the freedom that comes with releasing the fear of someone saying no, someone not being interested, some type of rejection, whether it's in relationship, with friendship, with lovers, with work, with business. The releasing of that fear is what is called freedom. Freedom to move about the world. Throw your talent out there, cast your fishing rod out there, and just see what happens. And it doesn't have to mean anything if it doesn't work out. So you make a pitch for a bigger position. So you make a pitch to get on a stage. So you submit a bid for a project or something like that, and it doesn't work. So what? So what? What if you just observe that? What if you locate in your body where the fear is coming up, where the tension is coming up, the part of yourself that's like, "Ooh," maybe there is a part of yourself that feels embarrassed or feels ashamed or feels like a fool. Great. Locate that. Sit in with it. Let it be there. Love that part of yourself, that little tiny part that's so afraid, that little egoic part that believes that because someone said no, or because you met with rejection, or because it's harder to get where you're trying to go right now and it's taking longer than you'd like it to take, that little part that wants to feel like that means you're a loser, that means you'll never get anywhere, that means no one loves you, whatever that part in you is saying, pull that little part on your lap, wrap your arms around him or her, and just say, you know what, that's tough. It's really tough. You are so, so worried, but it's going to be okay because I've got us. And I know you're afraid that this means all of these things, but don't worry. It's okay. And just push through and keep casting your net and keep holding yourself accountable to not letting fear of rejection stop you from being everything you are and shining your light in this world. Because, like Howard Thurman says, I've said it 1,000 times, it's one of my favorite quotes. Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is more people to come alive. And we need all of you to come alive. I hope this message was inspiring to you. I hope that you take some time to personalize it and really ask yourself, where am I letting a fear of rejection rule this one tiny short life that I have? And is that how I want to roll? And can I use some of these tools to maybe make a different choice? If you liked this episode, please leave a 5-star review, subscribe, pass along. We will see you next time on the Monday Muse.